Okay. Okay, there we go. No. Yeah. My own voice scared me. That's great. Um. So I got that set up. Now I need some music or something. Um.
Hello, everybody. My name is Markiplier. This is a game about space. It's so beautiful. The elegance, the story of why I love space. Oh, that's so cool. So cool. My computer can't handle the rendering. Oh, that's so Hello, everybody. My name is Markiplier.
That's better.
Space. It's so beautiful. The elegance, the story of why I love space.
Oh, that's so cool. So cool.
My computer can't handle the rendering.
Oh, that's so cool. So cool. It's so pretty. So pretty.
There are
Billions and billions of stars. There are billions and billions of gases. Alright.
There's nothing
I like more than space. So let's blow something up here. Let's blow something up here.
If there was a program for volunteers to go into space with like a 100% chance of dying from death by space,
I would be first in line.
if mainly brave volunteers or
Stupid volunteers.
I would be there so fast.
Oh, that's so cool. So cool.
My computer can't handle the rendering.
Oh, that's so cool. So cool.
Oh, it's so pretty, so pretty. There are
Billions and billions of stars.
um,
There are billions and billions of gases. Alright.
there's nothing
I like more than space. So let's blow something up here. Let's blow something up here.
every tiny speck
It's probably
a star. It's so big. Every speck
so
big. I would love every struggle, the terrible experience that
it may or may not be.
with
Certain death on the horizon. First for a chance to go into space. Oh, that's so cool. So cool.
My computer can't handle the rendering.
Oh, that's so cool. So cool.
Oh, it's so pretty, so pretty. There are
Billions billions and billions of stars. Oh look, there are billions and billions of gases. Alright,
There's nothing
I like more than space. So let's blow something up here. Let's blow something up here.
oh, yes.
So cool.
And as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye! Oh God, no. Not today!
Hello, everybody. My name. Hello, everybody. My name is Mark. This is a game about
That just sounds like crap. Ugh. Ugh, what is that? Okay.
Jacksepticeye. My name is Jacksepticeye. My name is Jacksepticeye. Jacksepticeye. Jack. All the way to fucking Victory Town. All the way.
Feels good to be a winner every now and then. I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in Steve. In Steve.
Oh yeah.
In Steve. We're out the glory. All the way to victory. All the way. All the way. All the way. All the way. The way. Keep on. Simple challenge. I call bullshit on that. Teeth when I'm only need mother 8 bars.
I call bullshit on that. Mother ape ass. Great Steve. Fired your legs magnetic. Great Steve. Well, that's just perfect, isn't it? Great Steve. I hope you die in that bottomless pit. Oh shit. All the way. Keep on advancing. All the way. Keep on flying. All the way. Keep on getting. All the way. Keep on advancing. All the way. Keep on flying. Potato man, you're the one that always causes trouble. See, you've like fake tickets, don't you? That's bad. You won't miss my favorite.
It's fine, Ripple.
I believe in you. I believe in Steve. Oh yeah, in Steve. Grab the glory, all the way to victory. All the way on a dancing, all the way keep on flying, all the way on getting, all the way, keep on a dancing, all the way keep on flying, all the way keep on, keep on, keep on a dancing, all the way keep on flying, all the way on getting, all the way, keep on a dancing, all the way keep on
You can keep the track. Just click on Jack. It's as simple as that. Then you're up in this crack. Doo-doo. Okay, going back to something that won't lag you guys, or as much as it is, because I know some of you guys have a really bad buffering programs, and it's just, ugh. And now and then, I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in Steve. In Steve. In Steve. We're of the glory, all the way to victory. All the way.
Simple challenge. I called bullshit on that. Grab it. First time I saw you, I knew right away.
Nope. I'm good. Okay.
ain't no need to cry no more when you break my heart into 24. I'll pick up the pieces you left. You think I'm coming back? Well, don't hold your breath.
I ain't your mister, cause I'm breaking up with you. Should've laid down with your sister. Go now, here's my middle finger.
Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Must be stupid if you think that we can slide again. Come on now.
There ain't no need to cry no more when you break my heart into 24. I'll pick up the pieces you left. If you think I'm coming back, well, don't hold your breath. I ain't your mister, cause I'm breaking up with you. Should've laid down with your sister. Go now, here's my middle finger. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Must be stupid if you think that we can start again. Come on now.
And if you're wondering why I'm just sitting here playing music, it's because I'm waiting for other people to join that I have told on Instagram, because this is a big announcement for my channel community as a whole. And I need more people here to be able to tell everything that I need to. 24.
Pick up the pieces you left. If you think I'm coming back, don't hold your breath. I ain't your mister, cause I'm breaking up with you. Should've hooked up with your sister. Go now, here's my middle finger. Hurt it, baby, hurt it, baby. Look what you did. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Must be stupid if you think that we can start again. Are you joking? Must be joking. You ain't laughing, I ain't smoking. Must be crazy if you think that we can start again. Yeah, I'm with my boys, hit the town. Let's go see what kind of chick knocks me out. Now I know that she wants me back. Nothing sounds more better than hit the road, Jack, Jack. Don't call me mister, girl, I've broken up with you. Love me now, my name is bigger. Girl, I'm giving you the finger. Hurt it, baby, hurt it, baby. Look what you did. Are you crazy?
Let's go with some. Welcome back. I've become so numb, I can feel you there. Become so tired, so much more aware. I'm becoming less. All I want to do is be more like me and be less like you. Can you see that you're smothering me? Holding too tightly, afraid to lose control. to do is be more like me and be less like you. And I know I may end up failing too. And I know hello, whoever just joined. I don't see who joined. With someone disappointed in you. I've become so numb, I can feel you there. Become so tired, so much more. Where I'm becoming this, and all I want to do is be more like me and be less like you. Become so numb. Okay, people are seeing my posts. That is good. And they left. Fuck. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Emailing AJHQ isn't gonna do shit for you getting your items back. So, one, that was kind of a waste of your time. I'm sorry. And two, I've been scammed multiple times. And, they don't do crud for you. They didn't do anything to try and make it better or fix it or give you your items back. And if they do, they don't give you the items you gave or you lost back. Like when I got scammed out of my curly antlers, they didn't do shite for it. So, I wouldn't be expecting anything really to happen. Yeah, I just wouldn't give up on it. I honestly wouldn't give up on it, but um the heck? Someone joined who speaks a different language. Oh dear. I only speak English. Well, fluently. I see the same things happening every day, every night, every time, in every hour on this planet. Same thing every time. I see the same things happening every day, every night, every time, and every hour on this planet. The same thing every time. To all the newborns, young lives, all the monuments.
Oh, cállate la boca, you fucking piece of shit. Let me get the charger. Excuse me. That was rude. You know what? I'm just gonna go with YouTube because this is being too slow for me. And my dad's back. Yeah, that's great. Fucking great. Just. Can people start joining? Because I kinda need to get this done with. Okay, okay, one sec. Why? What? Say what? I don't understand shite. What are you saying?
Okay, so where did the box go?
Dad, I'm
Yep.
live. Please don't be too loud.
It's right there with the bag.
Okay, so there's $21 worth of stuff in that box.
Yeah, that's sitting right where I told you it was. It's in the bag. It's by the bag.
I was working the night shift at my local Waldbaum's back when it used to be open 24 hours a day. There
Okay,
would
I'm
normally
gonna go
be less
check
than
that
10
up on
customers
Google
throughout my shift, but I
Translate and
wouldn't
see
get to
what
sit
they
around
come
and
up
do
with.
nothing though.
That's it?
They wanted me to work on
I don't
stock when I
understand what
wasn't
that
helping a
says.
customer. It was a bigger Waldbaum's, so oftentimes there may have been one other person in the building, whether it be someone working on stock or someone cleaning. This night, I was the only one working. I was working stock in the cereal aisle when I heard something fall over on the other side of the shelf in the next aisle over. I would always hear the door to the store sliding open. It was the loudest thing ever, so it kind of caught me off guard that there might have been a customer in the building. Of course, it wasn't weird yet. Not until I looked to my left and saw a man standing by the edge of the aisle, shooting me a blank stare. "Do you need something, sir?" I asked him. No.
When I searched it, Gable, shut up. When I searched it up on Google Translate,
Yeah, then have to bring
it,
back there. It's
um,
long range.
it didn't exactly. I'll just post this in the chat and you can see it for yourself, because this just didn't translate right, I don't think. I hope that's not what they actually said.
Okay, did you just throw it in the pile outside or what?
I just tossed it in front of the door.
Okay, well then turn around, go back out and spread it out where it'll dry out.
Though I looked much younger,
Guys, how much
the guy
louder do I have
stopped
to
me
put
and
this?
started trying to make awkward small talk. He started by asking me my name, how old I was, if and where I went to school, and why I was doing the night shift. His questions started to get weirder when he asked me if I went to parties a lot and if I had a girlfriend. I told him I didn't, and then he asked me if I've ever had a boyfriend while putting his hand on my shoulder. I immediately started walking away with the cart, but he followed me. I told him I wasn't into whatever he was thinking about. I went faster and faster until I finally made it to the back storage room. He didn't follow me in. I wasn't supposed to stay back there for extended periods of time to avoid customer theft. I decided it would be best to just wait for him by the register so that he would ring his stuff up and leave. But I waited there for at least 20 minutes.
Well, that's not really rude as it is
Like
Just
he stole the
not
eggs
something
and
you
something
say to
else. There
someone.
wasn't anything I could do now. I had to go to the bathroom, so I took a quick jog to the back of the store and into the employee bathroom. Moments after sitting on the toilet, my heart dropped into my stomach as I heard the bathroom door open. I choked the urge to say something. Something like, "You can't be in here." But I didn't want to give away my position.
And you don't need to be too
I
rude
lifted
like
my
that.
leg so that I
It's
wouldn't
kind
be
of
visible from under the
overboard.
stall. And what happened next was simply horrifying. I sat there for the longest time, looking at the floor, not moving a muscle. When I finally looked up, I could see an eye peering through the crack of the stall door. I screamed. I knew I was trapped. I knew I had one shot at making a move. I grabbed the box cutter in my pocket and began sliding it through the crack of the door, forcing him to move his eye away. I took that chance to slam the stall door open in his face and hightail it out of the bathroom and all the way out of the store. I called my boss at least 5 times before he finally picked up and explained everything. He told me to call the cops, and so I did. Of course, the man wasn't in the store anymore by the time the cops showed up. I only did the night shift twice after that, and luckily didn't see the man again. I used to work the night shift at a gas station on the side of some highway in the country. From the hours of 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., the road was pretty dead. I would have maybe 1 or 2 people come in to pay cash in a whole night. It was a very boring and depressing job, especially doing the graveyard shift, but I had just finished college and I needed to pay off my loans. The only reason I kept this job was because my boss threw me an extra $5 an hour for doing the night shift. On this one cold December night, I was doing my usual thing, reading the newspaper, playing games on my phone, and whatnot, when I noticed the headlights of a car pulling off the highway into the parking lot. It was a red pickup truck. Somebody stepped out and shut the door. I went back to reading the paper as I saw that he was standing by the gas pump. I assumed he wasn't paying cash. I looked up a few moments later and saw that he was still standing in the same position, staring at the gas pump. I almost felt obligated to go out and help him. He was obviously confused. I felt a cold chill run up my spine as I saw the 6-foot-something-tall man slowly turn his head to face me. I couldn't make out any features of his face, but I knew he was staring at me. I tried to pretend I didn't notice by going back to reading the paper. Of course, I wasn't really reading now. I was a bit shaken by the guy out there. I just wanted him to pay debit or credit and leave. I looked up and gasped as the man was now much closer to the front door of the building. It wouldn't have been so disturbing if it weren't for the fact that he wasn't moving. He was just standing still, as before, still looking over to the door to get a closer look. All I could see in his face was still blackness. I locked the door and flipped the open sign to closed on the door. I didn't care if this would possibly get me in trouble. I was not taking a chance because, quite frankly, I was scared shitless. I walked back behind the counter and sat down on one of the containers on the floor just so I couldn't see the man outside anymore. I stayed in that position for a good 5 minutes, texting every friend I have to see who was awake. I was desperate to tell somebody about this. When I finally got up to check that he was gone, I let out a full scream as the man was now right outside the door. I picked up the phone on the counter and called the police. The operator was reluctant to send somebody over because of the way I described the situation, but I persuaded them. I hid behind the counter, balled up like a child. I began to hear heavy thumps at the door, not innocent knocks to catch my attention. I mean thuds and thumps, trying to break down the door. And then eventually it finally stopped. I heard the sound of a car starting outside and then driving off. I looked outside and he was gone. A patrol cop along with a state trooper pulled into the parking lot. I reported the red pickup truck and told them which direction I thought he went in. I couldn't describe his face as all I saw was blackness. Of course, there wasn't much the police could do as the man didn't really do anything. I left that job a few months later to a job in the city. It was 2 years ago. I was called in to do the night shift, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. at 7-Eleven, since somebody called out. The store was located on a busy road in
Ow,
a rather
my ass
quiet
cheek,
and rural
ow.
area. During the night shift, you could expect anywhere from 10 to 20 people come in to buy a beer or something else. This one particular night, there was this one guy, mid-20s, that came in. He started making weird noises, like loud yelling noises. I assumed he had some kind of mental disability. In fact, my brother has a mental disability, so I immediately felt sympathy for the guy. He walked up to the counter without any items, with his head facing me, but his eyes were looking up at the ceiling. I felt uncomfortable. I honestly didn't know how to deal with it. I tried speaking with him, but he only responded in loud noises. I kept checking if he was with someone outside, but he was alone. There weren't any cars in the parking lot, so I assumed he walked. He stood there for so long, looking up at the ceiling and making noises, that I tried to get him out by handing him a bag of chips and telling him he can go. I tried finding some kind of number to call for someone to help him. Then, out of nowhere, he finally turned around and walked out of the store. I felt so horrible for the man, but at the same time, I felt a bit creeped out. About an hour later, the phone on the counter rang. I picked up to hear the familiar yelling sounds of the man from earlier. It caught me off guard. I didn't know what to think, other than this has to be some kind of prank. I hung up on them and was now becoming paranoid of my surroundings, constantly checking the outside through the windows. Come 4 o'clock, the person working after me came in, finally allowing for me to go home. It wasn't my problem anymore. I got home and threw all my stuff
Oh
on the
God,
table,
I'm getting up.
ready to get
Okay.
to sleep. But my phone rang within a minute after entering the door. I felt a chill run down my spine. Why would someone be calling at 4 a.m.? I could only imagine it was bad news. I braced myself and picked up the phone to hear the man again. I felt sick to my stomach as I listened to the loud noises he made. I struggled to slam the phone to the receiver. All night, I felt like I was being watched, even with all the blinds shut. And I could swear I heard strange noises coming from all over my house. I refused to get any sleep until the sun came up. Weeks passed, and I had forgotten about the incident, until one day, when going into the basement for the first time in a while, I found that papers had been scattered all over the floor, and when I went into the basement closet, I found writing on the walls. 7-Eleven had been written in Sharpie on the wall, along with the address to the 7-Eleven I worked at and my house address. The most disturbing part, I also found various kitchen knives, along with a large pocket knife sitting in the closet. What started out as seemingly just an innocent person turning into something of a prank ultimately turned into something much more horrifying. He had been living down there for God knows how long, and I'm just grateful that, for whatever reason, he changed his mind and
Hey!
left, because I haven't seen or heard from
Welcome
him
back.
since.
Welcome here. I
All
mean,
can say is
God, I'm
that man
out
is
of it right now.
dangerously ill.
And I've been sitting here for what? How long? Let me check my notifications.
I've worked in the K-9
An
unit for
hour.
9 years, and I've worked my fair share of graveyard shifts. I've definitely
Kind of
come across
annoyed
weird things
because
at night,
a lot of
but I'll never
people
forget
liked
this
the
one
photo,
night.
but nobody's
I worked
paying
with my
attention
dog
to
Sammy,
reading
a
what it
German
says,
Shepherd.
and it's
She
really
was 2
ticking
years
me
old
off.
at the time and was still kind of new to the job, just like me. I was driving down a road surrounded by crops when I spotted a suspicious-looking white van parked inside the crops. Both doors were open. I flashed my lights to try and draw out whoever was there. Nobody came out, so I parked and scanned the place out quickly. Nobody was in sight, so I took Sammy with me to track down the driver of the van. Sammy started going crazy when we reached the trunk of the van. She was pulling so hard she almost broke off the leash. I opened the trunk to the van, and a blast of foul air hit me in the face. I almost passed out from the mix of the horrible smell and the pure shock of what I saw in the trunk. I counted 7 full body bags, each with a pair of feet sticking out at the bottom. I requested immediate backup with my radio. I heard the sound of a twig snapping nearby. and Sammy just lost it. I lost grip of the leash, and she took off into the crops. I pulled out my gun and followed the sounds of her barking. As each and every crop hit me in the face, I felt as if something would reach out and grab me. I stopped when I could no longer hear Sammy's barking.
I don't want to hear about them. Please don't bring them up.
The sounds of movement.
It's really, I just don't.
I realized I heard movement in all directions. I had never experienced such fear in my life. I stood still as the movement around me stopped. And then, out of nowhere, I felt two arms wrap around my throat. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't fight. I was going to die. And then, I heard the sound of Sammy's bark, followed by the scream of the man choking me as Sammy bit down on his leg. The next thing I did is something that I still question if it was appropriate doing to this day. I turned around and pulled the trigger, killing the man. I grabbed Sammy by the leash and ran all the way back to the car. I could tell people were following us from behind. I managed to make it to the car safely and drive a quarter mile down the road. I didn't stop to see which way they went. I didn't hold my ground. I fled like a coward. I cared much more about our lives than I did this job, and I'll still say that today. But it still pains me knowing how much of a coward I was. Backup arrived shortly, but the van was gone. I even failed to get the plate number on dashcam video, or even just writing it down. This was within my first few months on the force, but it made me feel like absolute shit for months to come.
What the heck?
Let a van full of
What
killers
is that?
die.
No, they're not. Good thing.
Police officers have always gotten a bad rap for their authority over us, which is very often abused. However, the police are the first ones to get called into action whenever trouble arises, and they'll no doubt see some disturbing stuff. Here are 4 haunting stories of former police officers. Number 4. I was a cop for 30 years. I retired at the age of 50, so of course I had some weird calls. But I'll never forget the night that me and my partner Steve were called to respond to a domestic abuse report. The call was made by a neighbor. These calls were never really a big deal. It usually gave us something to do during the night. Not that I enjoy dealing with couples fighting and all that stuff.
I don't know why you're asking me about that.
Vividly remember the address, and I remember
Because I don't pay attention to the hate as much as I did.
the second we stepped inside, the strong scent of marijuana filled our lungs. It was everywhere.
Even though there's been a few things that have been really upsetting, but
Strong
yeah.
smell of chemicals, which we assumed was either meth or cocaine. We made our presence known by asking for the couple to come out into sight. A thump from the upstairs gave away their position. Steve had his hand on his holster, ready to pull his gun. But me, I wasn't nervous yet. Steve told me to move quietly up the stairs. We normally listen to each other, so I humored his paranoia. There were 3 doors, 2 open, and 1 closed. The closed door led in the direction where the thud in the ceiling was. I banged on the door before swinging it open myself. The smell was the first thing we noticed, then the body. The body was very obviously rotted. We knew even in the dark. pulled our guns. Steve turned on the light. I told him to scan that room while I scanned the rest of the house. I was shaking all over.
So wait, I need to write this down.
I wanted to run back to the car and leave. I was sure I could die at any moment. I found my hand to be stuck on the doorknob until I had the balls to turn it. But there was
Four, five. Okay. Now I can do it. Wattpad. Okay.
tried to pull me to the floor. There was a hand coming from under the bed. I stomped on the arm with my other foot and pulled out a frail, trashy-looking woman who was obviously baked. I cuffed her and Steve cuffed the man. We were on our way outside with the two crazies screaming at us, but we had one final surprise coming. Some psycho from upstairs started screaming, charging at us down the stairs with a knife raised in the air. Steve reacted just fast enough to save my ass by 2 seconds, shooting the guy dead. This was a crack house. Somehow none of the neighbors could smell anything suspicious. The dead woman on the bed was killed by the man of the two we caught, who admitted to killing her due to lack of payment. The man was sentenced to life without parole. The woman was sentenced to 30 years. Steve says he never felt bad about what he did. He says he just rid the world of one more piece of trash. Number 3. Myself and a buddy on my squad responded to an alarm. The incident location was an old office-type building that had been converted to a doctor's office. There was a pharmacy attached to it as well. Our dispatch received a motion signal from an upstairs office. The key holder arrives on the scene and we go in to secure the building. The stairs were locked behind a door that, of course, the key holder didn't have a key to, so we took the elevator up to the second floor. The elevator opens to a pitch-black hallway, except for one overhead light at the end of the hall. We start checking the doors, and so far, all are secured. We get to the last office, and sure enough, the door is unlocked. We make entry and observe it to be an unused office. The door opened to a sizable waiting room and reception area. There were about 10 or 12 exam rooms, all cleared with no hiccups. We exit the office, and immediately, something seems off. That's when I realized the overhead light at our end of the hallway that was on before had been turned off. It was replaced by another light over at the elevators. I look at my squad mate. He's completely white. I ask him what's wrong, and he says, "Weren't all those doors we just checked closed and locked?" I tell him, "Yeah, so?" My buddy says, "Well, now they're all standing open." Sure enough, all the offices down the hallway we had just checked were now standing open. The pucker factor sinks in at this point, so we start clearing and securing offices. We finish the last office, and on our way out, just before we turn the corner to get into the waiting area, the main door just slams shut. Then our radios start going nuts with some kind of static feedback. Now I just want to get the hell out of there. We get back in the elevator and head down to the first floor in hopes to make contact with the key holder again. However, the key holder is nowhere to be found. I contact dispatch and request a callback number for the key holder so I can advise him of what we found. Dispatch states that the key holder was still en route to us and was advising an ETA of 5 minutes. I advised dispatch that we had already been out with the key holder. Dispatch requests I give them a call. I call dispatch, and she tells me that there is no way we were out with the key holder. She states that the alarm company had only just made contact with one. Eventually, the real key holder arrives on the scene, and I ask her about the man that had led us in the building. She asked me to describe him, so I did. She states that sounds like one of the doctors that used to lease the office on the second floor at the end of the hall. She then states that he had committed suicide at his summer home several days ago. Number 2. I was responding to a call in the village. A resident was reporting noises coming from one of the abandoned buildings from across the street, most likely trespassing. I arrived and began my search in the building. It used to be a 2-story convenience store. Now it was completely stripped empty, except for the parts attached to the floor, like the counter and shelves. The lights didn't work in there either. I checked every small aisle for anyone to possibly be hiding in, and then I did the same thing upstairs. It was completely empty. On my way back into my car, I looked back at the building and saw somebody at the window on the second floor. It was a woman with long gray hair down past her shoulders. She was no doubt looking down at me with a wide smile on her face. I hurried back inside, making it upstairs in no more than 10 seconds. But the window was clear. There was nobody in sight. I checked all 3 aisles at least 10 times. I checked behind the counter. I checked the bathroom. It was clear. I was a little nervous, so I left again, thinking my mind was fooling me. I looked back at the window, and there she was again. The same mockingly disturbing smile on her face. I went back up there again, this time running around all 3 aisles trying to find this woman. I was about to give it up once more and leave for good when I noticed something in my peripheral vision. It was on the ceiling. A dark shade of black latched onto the ceiling. I shined my light up there, and there she was. That crazed woman looked at me, still with a horrifying smile on her face, as she held onto 2 hook-like objects in the ceiling with her hands, while her feet were pushed up against the tile to gain support. She laughed like a freak all the way down to the
Okay,
street.
who is here now?
I don't know if she had some kind of mental disability or not. It seemed like she was just toying with me, but not at all in the good way. She stared me down through the mirror the whole ride. Number 1. In all my years of being a police officer in Floyd County, Georgia, I have only experienced 2 horrifying situations. I'll share with you the worst of the 2. It was a slow night, and I was
Excuse
patrolling
me.
the dirt roads in my cruiser. At this particular spot, there were tiny woods on both sides of the road. And then it all started. I spotted somebody jumping into the woods on the left. I only saw half of them, though. They were gone so quickly. I pulled up closer and trying to spotlight into the woods. I didn't see them. Unfortunately, it was kind of my job to check on things like this, so I hesitantly stepped out from the car and began searching. In a moment like this, I was so ready to pull my gun, as I was actually terrified. And then, the cliched snap of a blade from behind a tree almost made me want to run back to the car, but I instead did my job and called for them to come out. Someone wearing a mask stepped out from the tree. I told them to raise their arms, take off their mask, and come to me slowly. They raised their hands, but they didn't remove the mask. I tried to demonstrate my authority by yelling this time, ordering them to take it off. They looked as if they were about to take it off, and suddenly, he or she looked to their left, and then back at me. I heard footsteps coming from my right. I drew my gun. I yelled as loud as I could for everybody to come out with their hands up. You may be thinking, why? Well, if you were in this position, in this setting, you would have been shitting yourself just like I was. Another person wearing a mask walked over. This one holding an axe. I had my gun locked on him. But suddenly, footsteps started coming from all directions. I looked around, and I was surrounded. There were at least 10 strangers wearing masks, surrounding me almost in a circle, with only an opening behind me. Half of them were armed with axes and the like. I stood there, gun raised, but not even aimed at anything at this point. I felt like I was going to throw up. One of them, I'm not sure which, finally broke the silence, telling me in a muffled, deep voice, "Go away." My heart dropped as he said this.